Hello, everybody, and welcome to the October 9th, 2018 edition of the Ephrom Josine Show. I am your host, Ephrom Josine, and this will also be the first episode of the Ephrom Josine Show that's also going to be posted to the blog on Blogspot, or ephромjosine.blogspot.com. Now, I've been hesitant to do that in the past because I wanted to keep them kind of separate. However, as of today, I have officially decided to make the Ephrom Report a solo operation. Now, there are a few reasons for this, most notably the fact that I was really the only one doing anything on it anyway. No offense to my other employees, I'm sure they tried their hardest, but honestly, you can only do so much. You only have so much time. Neither of them were really as big into politics as I was, and I couldn't pay them, so it's understandable sometimes that happens. I'll go more into what this means in this month's monthly roundup. However, just so you know, that is the general idea of what's going on right now. But anyway, let's get into the news. First off, UN Secretary or UN Ambassador Nikki Haley has decided to resign. Because of course she has. Why wouldn't you at this point? It seems like everyone who's in Donald's administration is trying to get out of Donald's administration. Now, mind you, we don't know really why she resigned. She just sort of put in a letter saying she'd resign by the end of 2018 today. However, it should be noted that this is around the same time where just yesterday, mind you, the UN came out with a report that said we had 11 years to do something about climate change. But hey, don't worry, by the time Donnie's out of office, we'll only have about 8. May I remind you, this is also the administration that made the CEO of ExxonMobil his first Secretary of State, and someone who sued the EPA over a dozen times, the first head of the EPA, and hasn't actually replaced the head of the EPA. The current Secretary of the EPA is still acting, meaning he is just put there randomly until the president appoints someone, and the president still hasn't appointed someone months after he himself fired Scott Pruitt. It's not like Scott Pruitt resigned like Nikki Haley did. He fired Scott Pruitt and didn't have anyone in mind. My God, this is a level of I don't care that has never been seen in a president before. Anyway. And it should also be noted that this is happening during a giant increase in natural disasters, which is just what the climate scientists warned us about for decades. This includes 3 natural disasters within the same summer, including the worst natural disasters we've seen hurricane-wise, hitting both the Carolinas and Florida. But all of that is probably a conspiracy by the Chinese. At least that's what Donald said when he first started running for office. Anyway, this is something I found live action posted onto Twitter. This is Ben Shapiro on, I think, Sunday night on his Fox News special, because he's doing like 4-day specials in the midterms. It's from the third one. Explaining why pro-life is obviously the correct thing in a midterm election special that doesn't make much sense, but okay. We'll watch and we'll pause when we see a problem. Okay.
This is a picture of a 19-week-old baby.
I can confirm, you guys can't see it, but I can confirm he is right. There is a picture of a 19-year-old baby on screen.
This is a human child.
No, it's what's medically known as a fetus.
This is not a ball of goo. This is not a cluster.
Who said it was?
Of cells.
All life is a cluster of cells. We're just saying the fetus is not as significant as most other clusters of cells. Has anyone actually made that argument? I've honest to God never heard that wording used ever, and pro-lifers keep using it like it's the slam dunk.
In January, 44 Democrats in the United States Senate voted not to protect the rights of babies older than this unborn child.
Again, it's not a baby. A baby applies. It's already been born. You're honest to God just using terms differently to suit you.
Only 3 Democrats, Joe Manchin,
Of
Joe
course he
Donnelly, and
did.
Bob Casey, voted to protect children at 20 weeks. Only 2 Republicans voted against such protection, Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski. Take a good look at that baby. That is a human being with 0 rights, according to the mainstream of the Democratic Party.
I thought rights only existed in a negative context, and that's why we can't have universal health care. Now, all of a sudden, you have the right to live inside of someone, literally inside of someone. Not like you're living in the same house, like you are literally living within their body for 40 weeks. That seems like a pretty positive right to me. You know, I thought rights were only negative. Apparently this right is positive. And to grow and to cause illness and to do all these really gross things. And to mess with hormones and all of this. All of that is just your right as a human being until you're born. Then you can't do that. If I were to go into Ben Shapiro's house and say, hey, I need to live in your house for 40 weeks, he'd look at me and go, you're the dumbest thing I've ever seen. But then if it's a fetus, then it has the right to.
And human life doesn't begin at 20 weeks. This is a picture of a baby at 12 weeks, barely 3 months. You can see
12 weeks is 3 months. Sir.
this baby with his hands near his chest. This is not a cluster of cells.
Are you actually going to get into your point anytime soon, or are you just going to do this show us pictures argument?
This is not a ball of goo. His genitalia have already been formed.
A lot of things that we actually do kill have genitalia. Most animals we eat have genitalia of some form. We kill them and eat them. And yet, when there was suspicions that maybe Pepsi might have been using aborted fetuses in their drinks, they actually weren't, for the record. There was a giant controversy. And just think about that for a second, because we eat, I think it's balls, what it's called. It's essentially a baby deer, I believe. Like these really small animals. We eat those. You talk about killing, you talk about not even killing, you talk about getting rid of something that isn't even alive yet. That's the problem.
His liver and spleen produce red blood cells. This is an unborn human being.
Wait until he learns about what happens to chickens when they're killed.
Not a single federally elected Democrat would vote for an abortion ban that would protect this baby's life.
Wait, what do you mean federally elected?
Life doesn't begin at 14 weeks. This is a picture of an unborn human being at 8 weeks. You can identify the head of this unborn human. You can see where the small buds are forming for arms and legs.
Are you actually going to get to your point, Ben?
But guess what? Life doesn't begin at 8 weeks either. It begins at fertilization, when a new human life is formed. A new human being with its own DNA. This human being...
You know, plants are alive too. Just wanted to point that out real quick. Plants are also technically considered to be alive. Where's Ben on that injustice? Anyway, I'm Ephrom, and good night.